Homelessness in America is one of the most heartbreaking realities of modern society. When people think about the United States, they often picture wealth, freedom, and opportunity. The country is seen as a land of dreams where hard work pays off and where anyone can rise from nothing to success. But behind that image lies a very different truth. Across cities, towns, and rural areas, there are millions of people who have no place to call home. They live in tents, in cars, in abandoned buildings, or directly on the sidewalks. Their lives are a daily battle against hunger, fear, illness, and despair. Every tent that you see on a street corner has a story. Some of those stories begin with job loss. Others begin with medical bills that swallowed up every last dollar. Some are tied to mental illness, trauma, or addiction. Others come from family breakdowns, where domestic violence or abuse left someone with no safe place to stay. The reasons are many, but the result is the same: thousands of people forced to survive outside, on the very edges of society, where they are often ignored, judged, or treated as invisible. Life in a tent might seem temporary to someone who has never experienced it. For the homeless, however, tents are often the only thing standing between them and the elements. The thin layer of nylon or canvas is their shelter against rain, wind, and cold. But it is far from enough. In summer, the heat becomes unbearable, baking inside the fabric until it feels like an oven. In winter, the freezing air creeps in through every gap, leaving people shivering all night. When storms come, water floods through, soaking blankets, clothes, and everything inside. For those who already have so little, even a night of heavy rain can destroy the only belongings they own. The struggle does not end with shelter. Access to food and water is an endless challenge. Many rely on soup kitchens, churches, or volunteers who hand out meals. Others pick through trash bins behind restaurants, hoping to find something edible. There is no guarantee of the next meal, and hunger gnaws constantly at the body and mind. Clean drinking water, something most people take for granted, is not always available. People line up at public fountains, beg for bottles from strangers, or drink from unsafe sources. Hygiene becomes nearly impossible to maintain. Showers are rare, laundry is expensive, and bathrooms are hard to find. The human body, without proper care, becomes vulnerable to infections, rashes, and illness. Healthcare is another barrier. Without insurance, the homeless cannot afford doctors or medication. Many walk around with untreated wounds, broken bones, or chronic diseases. A small infection can turn deadly. Mental health is even more neglected. Depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, and PTSD are common, but few receive any kind of treatment. Instead of compassion, many face stigma. Society labels them as crazy or lazy, while the real problem is the lack of resources and support. Drug abuse is one of the most visible parts of homelessness, but it is also one of the most misunderstood. Addiction does not always cause homelessness. Sometimes, homelessness causes addiction. Imagine living every day with no hope, no stability, no comfort, and no escape. Drugs become a way to forget. They numb the hunger, block out the cold, and push away the memories of better days. For some, addiction began long before the streets. For others, it started as a way to survive the unbearable conditions of homelessness. Drugs like meth, heroin, and fentanyl flow through homeless communities, cheap and accessible, but they are also deadly. Overdoses happen often, and it is not unusual for someone to go to sleep in a tent and never wake up again. But addiction is not the only danger. Violence is a constant threat. The streets are not safe, and homeless individuals are some of the most vulnerable people in society. Fights break out over food, space, or money. Theft is common because desperation drives people to steal. Women in particular face horrifying risks, often targeted for abuse and exploitation. For many, survival means living in fear every single day, never knowing when danger will strike. The emotional toll is equally heavy. To be homeless is not only to lose shelter, but also to lose dignity. Imagine walking through a crowd of people and feeling invisible. Imagine asking for help, only to be ignored, insulted, or treated like you are worthless. That constant rejection leaves scars deeper than hunger or cold ever could. Many lose their sense of identity, no longer remembering who they were before the streets claimed them. Dreams of a better future fade away. Hope is replaced with despair. Families are not spared from this crisis. Parents and children alike end up living in tents, cars, or shelters. For children, the trauma of homelessness lasts a lifetime. They grow up without stability, without education, without safety. They go to school hungry, tired, and ashamed. Some stop attending altogether. Childhood, which should be filled with play and learning, becomes a daily battle for survival. These children carry wounds into adulthood, often repeating the cycle of poverty and homelessness that their parents faced. Society often judges the homeless harshly, as if their condition is the result of laziness or bad choices. But the truth is far more complicated. Housing costs in America have skyrocketed, especially in big cities. A single missed paycheck or a sudden medical emergency can be enough to push a family onto the streets. Many homeless individuals are veterans who once served their country, only to return with trauma and no support system. Others are people who worked their whole lives but were crushed under debt or illness. Each person on the street has a story, and most of those stories are not about failure. They are about systems that failed them. In cities across America, homeless camps have become a common sight. Under bridges, along rivers, in vacant lots, rows of tents line the streets. Each camp is its own fragile community where people share food, protect one another, and build small pieces of stability. But these camps are temporary at best. Police sweeps often destroy them, scattering belongings and forcing people to start over again somewhere else. Every sweep takes away not just possessions, but also the small sense of safety people had built. For many, this endless cycle of displacement deepens the trauma of homelessness. The mental strain of this instability is unbearable. Living every day not knowing where you will sleep tomorrow or if you will have food tonight destroys the human spirit. Stress becomes constant, hope fades, and survival becomes the only focus. People lose the energy to fight for something better because every ounce of strength goes into simply staying alive. And yet, even in the darkest moments, there are signs of resilience. In tent cities, people share blankets, food, and stories. They watch over one another when danger comes. They comfort each other when loss strikes. These acts of kindness, though small, show that even in the harshest conditions, humanity survives. Some find the strength to fight their addictions, to seek help, and to rebuild their lives. Others hold on to dreams of stability, of a small apartment, of a bed, of a key to a door that is theirs. The homelessness crisis in America is not just about tents, drugs, or poverty. It is about humanity. It is about how a wealthy nation allows millions of its people to live without dignity. It is about the children growing up without stability, the veterans forgotten after serving, the workers crushed by bills they could not pay. It is about the systems that failed to provide health care, affordable housing, and mental health support. Until this crisis is treated with compassion, urgency, and action, it will continue to grow. More tents will appear on sidewalks, more lives will be lost to drugs and violence, and more families will be broken. Homelessness is not just an individual problem, it is a national tragedy. Every person in a tent is a reminder that society has looked away, that inequality has been allowed to grow, and that human beings are suffering in plain sight. The truth is simple. No one deserves to live like this. Every human being deserves safety, dignity, and hope. And until we recognize that, America's homelessness crisis will remain one of the greatest failures of our time.